Hey everybody, BUNGZY here with another ultralight review on ultralight backpacking. I hope you're enjoying my little collection of shorts on cooking in the wilderness. Maybe it's the great view, or maybe it's just the hunger, I don't speaking, but my meals are some of the most memorable parts of each trip. Anyways, this is the 8th in the cooking series, and we're moving on to food storage. Today, I'm walking you through my recommended food storage system. Let's jump in. I'm a big fan of the bear bags made by Ursa. I've been using them for years. In fact, I just recently upgraded to this baby, which is one of their newer or more current bags, as the material has been upgraded since I purchased this old one several years ago. You're likely already familiar with Ursa, but stick around. I have some advice for you that you maybe haven't heard or at least considered before. I have a link, by the way, to this product in the video description down below in case you're in the market. You can actually get it on Amazon, which is where my link will take you, which is great for delivery and returns. Now, sometimes approved bear-proof food storage is required, and sometimes it isn't. And sometimes Ursa bags are approved, and sometimes they're not, in which case you have to use hard-sided bear cans instead. With that being said, I'm here to actually advocate for the use of Ursacs all the time, not just when required or when in bear country, and let me explain why. I know, at 7.6 ounces, they're quote-unquote heavy compared to a Cuban food bag setup, which will come in around 3.5 ounces. That's a 4-ounce weight penalty. What in the world is worth a 4-ounce weight penalty, especially when a bear-proof container isn't required? Allow me to explain. Andrew Skirka, Google him if you're not familiar with him. His content is top-notch. He penned the term little bears to refer to all the little critters that want our food just as much as the bears do. We're all worried about bears, but the truth of the matter is that a little half-ounce mouse or other furball can ruin your trip as easily as a half-a-ton beast. And these little bears are everywhere. How often do you get out on the trail? Not to mention, how much time and money do you put into planning and pulling off your little wilderness escape? How important is it to you? And to think, again, a little half-an-ounce furball can ruin your trip, end it, just as it's getting going, night one. One or two tiny little mice can practically destroy your entire food supply if they can get their teeth on it. Night one. And unlike with gear, there is no repair to be done, no workaround, no buddying up. Your friends don't carry enough food to cover you, and I don't suspect you're going to scavenge your way through your hike. Your trip is over. Turn around. Head back to the car. You're done. All of that expense, planning, anticipation, all for nothing. I know what you're thinking, but you're going to say, I'm going to hang my food anyway, Bungsy. You really don't need to worry about the little bears. The truth, though, if you're being honest, is that hanging your food bag is, well, it's a pain in the rear and more often than not, impossible to do perfectly well. More often than not, finding a tree with a high enough, long enough, firm enough branch is next to impossible. Or sometimes you're lazy or cold or too tired to invest the 20 to 30 minutes it sometimes takes to pull off the food hang well. And again, that's assuming if it's even available. And that's doing that. You have to do that every single night. The Cuban food bag recommendations you hear from across YouTube and from others online come from thru hikers typically on major trails where there are many man-made food hangs or boxes waiting for them each night. In those circumstances, why not go with the lightest? But those are not the conditions most of us will find. And to state the obvious, Cuban fiber is about as far from critter-proof as it gets. You break a tent pole, tear your tent, lose your water filter, spill all your fuel, whatever, you can work around any of those problems. But no food, no trip. It's that simple. And to stress, the odds are exponentially higher that a hungry little furball is going to stumble across your food than a bear. Mice, squirrels, raccoons, porcupines, the list goes on. There are virtually guaranteed to be critters wherever you are. So, one could argue that this 3.5 ounce weight penalty is the most important weight penalty you can pay. One other quick selling point of the Ursa is that you can get away with skipping the Batman skills required 30-minute tree hunt and hang each and every night. Just practice your knots and tie this off the ground to pretty much any tree. You're done in a matter of a couple minutes. No exaggeration. The point being is that this 3.5 ounce penalty not only eliminates the most vulnerable threat to your trip, the trip you've been waiting for all year long, but it also eliminates one of the most annoying tasks of your trip, the nightly food hang. And you can back out of your 3.5 ounce penalty the weight of your food hanging kit, as you don't need it anymore. So the penalty is really some number less than 3.5 ounces. But if you insist on hanging your food bag, Ursa or no Ursa, in my next video, I'll introduce you to the perfect food hanging setup. In the meantime, though, please help me, as always, grow the show by hitting likes, and clicking on the BUNGZY logo floating on the screen to subscribe. It helps me a ton. Thanks, and I'll catch you on my next ultralight review on ultralight backpacking.